Hi, I'm George Voros and welcome to Song Stories and Drums and the second episode featuring Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Tarkus. Okay, so anyone that knows me pretty well knows my background and what music I was into. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer features right up there because in my formative playing years, I ate, drank and slept Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And particularly Carl Palmer's drumming. A massive influence on me in my formative years. So it was just a natural choice to do this, include this in this series. And so I hope you enjoyed my rendition of Tarkus. A little bit of edits done there in making it shorter because it is a 20-minute track. All right, so what is the story behind Tarkus? All right, well, Tarkus, when I was about 14 years old, maybe 15, I proclaimed that I could play through the whole of Tarkus. And probably I could with the way that I could play at the time, and which sounded good to me. I wish there was a fly on the wall video, because in those days, this is pre-internet days, we didn't have the mobile phones where you got a camera and you can film anything at any time. I didn't have that, so I don't have any record of that, but I remember proclaiming that I could play Tarkus at age 14 or 15. Now, in my very first band, that you see the photo over there, that's me in the middle, and on the right of the photo is my friend Fred, and we were childhood buddies. We hung around together, we did everything together. And on the left-hand side is Kenneth, the bass player, and he was actually an elder brother of the very first band we got together. Featured Bevan, Kenneth's brother, and this is the band where I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I played bass. I first started playing bass, and then I sang. I played drums, but drums always attracted me. I remember that. So it was a natural sort of gravitation to go towards drums, and that's where I landed up. And with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Fred and I used to sleep over at each other's houses. And we used to practice to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I had my little practice pad that I had. He had his guitar. And what happened with Fred was basically later on in life, he went the classical route. He got a master's degree in classical guitar, and he taught for many, many years. He now lives in Namibia, in Windhoek, and he taught at the Windhoek Conservatoire of Music. I went the other route. I went rock, and that's how I just landed up. I got to see ELP live at the Royal Albert Hall in 1994, I think. It was the Black Moon tour, maybe 92 even. But it was a long time ago. I was still living in Leeds at the time in the UK, and traveled down with a friend of mine, keyboard player Rob Davies. And we checked out Emerson, Lake and Palmer at Albert Hall, and for me it was, I'd waited many, many years for that to happen. And then fast forward, I was playing in a band, and we were a very busy band. It was actually a band called the Stu Page Band, and it was a country band, far removed from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. But this band was very good in what it did, and won the British Country Music Award for Best Band 4 times. When I was with the band, I think we won it for the 3rd time. But anyway, we were in our little minibus tour van going to a gig, and I hauled out paper and a pencil, and I was writing away, and the bass player who was driving, he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm writing a book." And he laughed. I said, "Cool, okay, I'm writing a book now." Just remember again, this was actually before Windows 95. So I was doing my writing out, and what I did was eventually I thought that was a bad idea, doing all this writing. And I got myself an old Atari 520 computer, and it had a word processing package on it. And I started to write on this, type on this. Luckily, when I was in college, in Standard 8, which is 10th grade or grade 10 in other countries, one of the subjects I did was typing, because I was in a commercial college. And that served me greatly for future reference, because when I started to type out my book on the Atari, excuse me, my typing wasn't too bad. I did 29 words a minute, which is not too bad. Moving on. Anyway, I got my book together, and the book, as we all know now, Rhythm of the Head, I wanted to get some names behind it, because I knew it was full of good content, but I just wanted to get it sort of endorsed, validated by drummers. And I reached out to a lot of different drummers, and the first drummer that came back to me was Steve White. I sent the guys 8 chapters. I'd also sent them a cassette that I'd recorded of myself playing, to let them know, actually, I'm not just about words, I can actually play. And it was a Thursday night, I remember this. I was at home, and the phone rang. I picked up the phone, and lo and behold, it was Carl Palmer. And he was calling me from I think he was in the UK at the time, but he was living in the Canaries at the time. And Carl's got a pretty high-pitched voice, and says, "Hi, this is Carl Palmer, George." I was like, and I almost fell off my seat, because, I mean, you can imagine your childhood drumming hero calling you. I didn't even call him. And he called me and said he had been trying to get hold of me, and that he liked the book, and he was going to send through his endorsement. And lo and behold, there you see it on the screen. There's Carl's endorsement, along with other guys like Bill Bruford, Mark Mundacey, and so on. And that book went on to serve me very well. It's been read around the world. It's changed a lot of guys' thinking and how they play. It's been read by non-drummers, musicians, even people who don't even read music, play music, sorry. And it's just one of those books. It's a motivational book, and at the time I didn't know it was going to be a motivational book. A few years later, I met Carl. I'd moved down to London, and I went along to the PAS convention, Percussive Arts Society convention in London, and I took some copies of my book. I'd had some books printed out, and went along. I met Lloyd Ryan as well. He was there. He was one of the guys that endorsed my book. And Carl was there. He was doing a clinic, and I got to meet him. And it was quite an experience, actually, meeting my drumming idol. And here's this guy also who had endorsed my work. And that pretty much sums up my involvement and experience with ELP. I still listen to ELP, but obviously getting older, I've diversified in my listening. I was pretty much like that when I was younger. But saying that, I was equally into the Rolling Stones. Charlie Watts for me was just a massive influence as well. So it sort of poles apart if you think about it. ELP, Carl Palmer, and then the Rolling Stones and Charlie Watts. But Charlie Watts for me was one of my big influence, which I will do an episode that'll involve Charlie and the Rolling Stones. So I want to thank you for listening and watching, and please subscribe to this channel. And I hope to bring you more of these episodes. It all depends on my workload And I must say that at this time, my workload is piling on a bit, and my intention was to do 2 videos a month, but I don't know if I'll be able to manage that. But as it evolves, it evolves. Now, with each episode of Song Stories and Drums, there's always a moral attached to the story. And the moral attached to this story is, don't hide your light under a bushel. It's an old expression. If you feel that you have something to say, something to do, then do it. There I was sitting in the tour bus. I started writing my book, and somebody laughed at me for writing my book, and I carried on. I was dogged about it. I was very determined, and I followed it through, and I finished the book, and I landed up with a great piece of work that was acknowledged by many great drummers around the world, including my formative drumming idol. So never ever think that you can't do something. If you believe you want to do something, then do it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Look after yourselves, and goodbye.